Audio Jungle. Okay, so Martin, so what are the main challenges when it comes to operating and managing a stadium like this, obviously with its multiple stakeholders, with the IRFU and the FAI, and sort of what and how many events do you run here each year?
Well, we run roughly 20 events every year. That's international football, international rugby and concerts. I suppose the biggest challenge for us as a venue is to maintain the pitch. Pitch is our asset. It's our biggest asset, and we need to keep that at the quality that's required for international football. So trying to get the balance right, trying to minimise the activity that takes place on the pitch, and present the pitch in pristine condition is probably the biggest challenge that we have.
Yeah. And obviously talking about the pitch, the big thing now in rugby obviously is that a lot of the teams are transforming to the 3G or obviously now in some cases 4G artificial pitches. But obviously with you having both soccer and rugby here, I suppose that's not really something that you could entertain.
Well, international rugby hasn't really gone onto the artificial pitches yet, but I think it's probably a matter of time before that happens. I think if you look at the States and where they have artificial surfaces, it means that the stadium is easier to maintain, and it means that you can have more events on the pitch. So I think there's a balance between the traditional argument for a grass surface and the new technologies. But the main thing, I suppose, for us is that international soccer is not yet played on artificial surfaces.
So carrying on that thread of the revenue generation, sort of what streams or new revenue streams are you looking to implement here?
Well, I suppose we're a multi-purpose stadium, so a lot of our revenues, the main revenues obviously come from the 20 events that we have a year. We'd like to expand that. We've had American football recently. We'd like to have 3 concerts every year. We've not managed to do that in recent times. And we want to grow the number of events that we have, but also our non-match day activity is very significant. We would have 700 events here, conferences and meetings and that type of activity. As a city centre location, we're ideally placed as a venue for conferences and things like that. And it's a big part of our business that we hope to grow.
Yeah, and obviously on the conference side of things, obviously the last time we were together, it was at the ESMA Summit in Lyon, and there was the big announcement and fanfare that obviously Aviva Stadium was awarded the ESMA Summit for 2018. So, how important is it to win events?
I suppose ESMA is special because we'll be bringing our peers here, and we're very pleased to have got the summit to Dublin. I think people will enjoy Dublin, but it's nice for us to be able to showcase our stadium and show a stadium that's 7 years old but still relatively new, and to talk about our stadium and talk about some of the challenges that we've had along the way.
Sort of what are those challenges? What have been the main challenges, and sort of how have you overcome them?
I suppose one of the things is when you've got a new stadium, everything is brand new, and you then have to start thinking about the life cycle of the stadium, about replacing your technology, replacing your carpets, maintaining the venue, and we've had to start implementing some of those changes already. I mean, for example, it's a very technical stadium, so our servers, our IT system had to be revamped completely after 5 years, and inevitably we will have to do that again in another 5 years' time. Yeah. And I suppose a lot of the big pieces of equipment that we have a 10-year life cycle, so we've got a plan for replacing those as well.
Probably 7 years old.
7 years old, it's hard to believe.
I don't know where, it seemed 2 minutes since I was here with my hard hat, and you were showing me around. So But it is an amazing stadium. It's definitely a credit to the team involved
Yeah.
that it's selling out. So obviously, sort of last weekend you had the rugby here. The was still a little bit sore about that one, but it was a great game, I have to say. It was a real clash of the titans, and obviously that now this weekend you've got a whole different set of fans coming with the soccer fans. So when it comes to obviously safety and security and putting those plans in place, sort of how fluid does the plan need to be? Obviously, taking into account those different types of fans.
Well, I suppose every event, whether it's a match, a concert, or a rugby or soccer, every event has a threat analysis and a risk analysis. So, it varies across the various different events. Even from concert to concert, there's a different profile of crowd. So I think the key for us is to look at each event in isolation, do the threat analysis, work with the police, and we take an interagency approach. We've very good communications and a good relationship with the police. So we work together to do a profile of the event and to plan accordingly.
Yeah. And does your previous lifetime as in the army, does that sort of bring some assistance when it comes to safety and security?
I certainly think it does. My previous experience in the army trained me to plan and to make decisions, and it's certainly been an asset since I've been involved in sport and since I started with the stadium 10 years ago.
Yeah. And how difficult is it, obviously the fact, that with this stadium, it's not only home to the ARFU, but it's home to the FAI as well. And like you say, it has the 20 major games and then the 700 events. Just how do you ensure that all stakeholders are happy and keeping everyone?
It's obviously the different stakeholders have different needs, and it's a matter of cooperation. So the RFU and the FAI are joint owners of the stadium, and yet the stadium is a separate entity from both. So the three parties have to work together to make sure that everything works efficiently from the point of view of all the stakeholders. And there's always give and take and compromise. It's worked very well for the last 10 years, and it's a good model. I think both organisations have benefited from the fact that they have cooperated and that they have this great stadium to use for their major events.
Yeah, and obviously you're in quite a unique position that you get to see the ins and outs of both the rugby and the soccer. Do you think there's anything that either code can learn from one another, and perhaps should
I think they do, and I think it's not just isolated to rugby and soccer. We learn from concert promoters and from the various acts that come through. So we're constantly just reviewing how we operate and looking for new ideas, and those ideas are shared. There's a lot of collaboration between the two sports organisations, and we learn from each other. There are different profiles of spectators, different cultures, and their different experiences. But ultimately, we want people to come here and to enjoy the experience of coming to matches and be entertained in a safe and secure environment.
And so what would you say you've been here nearly a decade, obviously from start of the build to today, but what would you say have been the key lessons that you've learned over that decade?
Well, I've learned a lot, and I've had to learn a lot, and I think you've got to open your horizons and to look at what other people are doing. I've undergone a number of courses from a business point of view, and I'm keen to learn from other venues and from other sports to see, what can we introduce that's going to be of benefit to the company and to the stadium.
Yeah. So, in terms of sort of knowledge sharing, Would you say that obviously associations like ESMA, which obviously you're a part of, are important in terms of getting peers together and talking about lessons learned and things like that?
I think it's invaluable. In publications like your own sport venue business, it's forums like that where we can learn from each other. We're on occasion. Venues will compete against each other, but by and large we tend to operate in isolation of each other, and there is no threat in sharing information. I think it's incumbent on all of us to try and improve our spectator experience, and working together we can do that.
Yeah.
Everybody has a different view and a different idea that we can all learn from.
And obviously, talking about the spectator experience, obviously that's all the hot topic nowadays. Gone are the days when you could offer a soggy ham sandwich and a bag of crisps. We've had a complete evolution now. The fan is king, and the fan experience and fan entertainment. Can you perhaps tell us a little bit about some of the initiatives you have here?
Well, my view on that is that we're actually competing with our own product, and the supporter can decide to watch at home or come to the venue, and we've got to make the supporter make that decision in favour of coming to the venue. So we've got to match the comfort, the safety, and the secure environment that they have at home, and provide entertainment. And the unique thing about the stadium experience is that whole social interactivity and that whole atmosphere of the crowd that you can't actually get when you're sitting in front of your TV at home.
Yeah.
So we've got to try and make it attractive to people to come from the comfort of home to share the experience of the stadium.
Yeah, and then obviously going back then as well, the last time we were together at ESMA, you were saying you're going to be putting a new screen in.
Yeah.
So what's the latest with that?
We're actually putting 2 new screens in at the north end of the stadium. The stadium is lower. People that are familiar with the stadium will know that it's low at the north end, so our screens are offset, and we have one on the east side. We're going to put one on the west side, and we're going to replace the one that's on the east. So there'll be very high quality, high definition TVs, and we've just signed a contract with Electronics to put them in over the summer. So that's part of just enhancing the venue, continuously investing in the venue, and trying to improve the spectator experience for people.
And if you had a talking telephone number budget, what would be, what's the one thing that you're keeping your eye on that you would love to invest in if you had the budget?
Just keep investing in the quality of the experience, both internally within the building and around the bowl. So things like LED sound systems, to focus on the audio and the visual experience of the fan, and just to enhance the whole the day out and the entertainment value.
Yeah.
I think when you go to the States and you see what they're doing in Stadia there, where they do have deep pockets, they seem to be investing in LED, in big screens, in sound systems. So I think that's where ideally, if I had an unlimited budget, that's where I'd be spending a lot of money. I think. The other things, though, of course, are just maintaining the IT systems and in safety and security. Because I think safety and security is ever present, and we've got to keep investing in that. I think it's one of the areas that owners don't necessarily see the investment, or people don't see the investment in, but you've got to keep putting money into enhancing your security systems.
Yeah.
If you buy a new screen, you can see the new screen. If you're investing in cameras and CCTV, you don't see it, or the public don't see it, but they're invaluable tools for operators to manage their venues.
Yeah, and then obviously moving on then to another sort of hot topic. Obviously, many people will know that you're a champion when it comes to sustainability in stadiums. So perhaps you could just tell us a bit about some of the initiatives that you have employed or running, or solutions here at the stadium.
Yeah, well, we take a view that we're part of the community, and we're very close to our neighbours. So sustainability has always been important to us, and in the build there were a lot of sustainability initiatives. we harvest the rainwater from the roof. We used environmentally friendly materials where we could. We've lots of controls on our utilities, and we've got. We work constantly and we benchmark ourselves. So we've achieved ISO 2012-1 and ISO 50001. The first is a sustainability credential in running sustainable events, and ISO 50001 is a utilities management credential. And it actually makes good business sense because if you can manage. You can measure, first of all, your consumption. You can manage it, and in these days when you've no control over your fuel prices, it makes good business sense to minimise the amount of utilities that you're using. It also makes good business sense to minimise the amount of waste that you're producing and to recycle. So we have a lot of primary recycling where we stream plastics and paper and cardboard and then general waste. That's all important. Minimising the amount of waste that you have in terms of food production is also very important. So I think we do it because it's the right thing to do, but also because I think the environment is changing and people's views are changing, and people expect you to be operating in a sustainable fashion. I think stadiums have a special responsibility in society because we're venues that people come to, very large amounts of people come to, and they're a cross-section of society, so we've got to look at the needs of people and look at what's happening out there in society. And we know that people are a lot more conscious about recycling domestically and looking at the types of vehicles that they're using and so on. And I think the stadiums have to be tuned into that, and we work constantly to do it. We've got dedicated resources, but it's part of the culture, and people, within the staff, they know that we're sustainable, and they like being sustainable. So it's good for business. Yeah,
because you actually, am I right? You actually have a team, or at least a staff member, who is the sole responsibility is sustainability.
Yeah, Aidan Byrne is our sustainability manager, and we measure on a monthly basis, and we report to the board on our recycling, on our utility use, and it's very much to the forefront of our business.
Yeah, and another sort of current trend which everyone seems to be talking about as well is safe standing. Obviously our counterparts in European countries already have safe standing. But we don't have it obviously in soccer or rugby at the moment here or in the UK. How do you think, is that going to change anytime soon?
Well, I think rugby has no problem with safe standing, and when we were in Croke Park, one of the terrace at the north end, the Hill 16, is a very big standing terrace. I think we're guided by the UK Green Guide, I suppose. But personally, I'm a fan of standing areas once they're properly designed. And I've been to the Allianz Arena and a number of German stadiums where I think they work very well. Yeah. I think standing areas actually enhance the atmosphere. So I couldn't see stadiums being completely standing. Yeah. Or have the lower tier completely standing, but I could see certain areas working very well. Yeah. So I wouldn't have any difficulty. We looked at it, but we looked at the standing areas that you can convert from standing to seating.
Yes, like they've done at Celtic.
Yeah, but the cost benefit was a problem during the construction because it would have required an additional investment, and at that time our key objective was to bring this project in on time and under budget. Yeah,
and then obviously finally something that obviously everyone, I think probably not only in Ireland but across the world, is keeping an eye, very close eye, on the Rugby World Cup bid for 2023. Yeah. Obviously, I understand you had the World Rugby technical review group here earlier this week, looking at Croke Park, and then obviously here at Aviva. How did that go? Can you give us any insight?
Well, I think we were very well prepared for it. The bid under Kevin Potts and the RFU is taking shape, and a lot of work has gone in. So no stone has been unturned. I think it went very well from our point of view, and hopefully the technical group were impressed. It would be wonderful to get Rugby World Cup 2023.
Yeah.
We have the Euros in 2020 coming, which is another fantastic event. And I think the proof of having a stadium like this is that you can attract events like that. We've got Croke Park, which is a wonderful venue as well. So, Ireland certainly has the venues, the accommodation, and there's a real team effort going in to this bid from both Northern Ireland and from Ireland, and there's a combined effort which I think people have to be impressed by, and we'll keep our fingers crossed that we're successful.
So fingers crossed, November
this year is the key date.
Hopefully Ireland gets awarded the Rugby World Cup.
It would be great. It would be great for the country. It would be great for the stadium and sport in general in Ireland.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely, everyone at Sports Venue Business will be cheering on, hoping that you're successful in that bid. But it's been great speaking to you today, Martin. Thanks for taking the time to fill us in on everything that's going on here and across the stadium sector.
Yeah.
So there you go, it's been a very busy week for Martin here at Aviva Stadium with the Ireland-England rugby game last weekend, and now obviously tomorrow night the Ireland-Wales game in the soccer. So tune in to sportsvenuebusiness.com for more, and you can also find this on the YouTube website. Thanks for now. Audio Jungle.